Good evening and welcome to the program. Good to have you along this evening. My special guest tonight is Angela Ayres, a part of the pop culture of New Zealand over a large number of years. Then she just disappeared. Now she's back and it's good to have her back. Nice to see you. You disappeared.
I did. I decided it was time to go across to the Tasman, to Australia, and stayed.
We'll get to that. Let's start at the beginning.
Sure.
Where are you from originally?
Palmerston North, born and
there?
bred, yes. And started dancing at the tender age of about 2.5. Started singing not long after that. And then
2.5?
2.5. My mother actually was asked if I have a sister that's 14 months older than me, if my sister and I would do some child modelling for a big department store. So that's sort of where it began, and then somebody had suggested that we learnt ballet for deportment.
What was behind this modelling thing? Why you and your sister?
I don't know.
And your mother?
I don't know.
In Palmerston North?
In Palmerston North, yeah. So we started dancing for deportment.
What was it like in the 1940s in Palmerston North?
I don't know, I wasn't born.
Just kidding. What was life like for Angela Ayres growing up in Palmerston North?
Fabulous. I had a wonderful, wonderful family life. Parents and an older brother and sister. Very supportive family. And my parents belonged to the Palmerston North Amateur Operatic Society. Not as performers, but my mother was an usherette and my father, I think, was a doorman. So we sort of used to go along to the amateur
So we can't say like mum and dad were actors, actresses,
no,
dancers or what have you.
No, there's nothing like that in my family at all.
Nowhere?
Oh, I think my mother said maybe a religious aunt who used to get on the piano. Hallelujah, whatever. Slightly different words we used
So
to
how
sing.
did that start? Just simply someone asked mum if you could do some
Child
modelling as a baby?
Yes, and from the moment apparently I started dancing, the teacher, whose name I think was Meg Scogland, said that I had very, very good rhythm and only needed to be shown once, a dance step, and just loved it. So it just sort of carried on from there. She actually went over to London then, the teacher, so I left there and I went to another dancing teacher, Zona Broughton, from about the age of 5. So other than that, I never ever did any ballet or jazz. I went into tap, and then at the age of 8, I think it was Highland dancing.
So you learned to do tap dancing, Highland dancing at about 8. When did the singing come into it?
Well, I think testing the brain now. I think my first day at school, we went into class. It was just after lunchtime, and our class was singing 6 Little Ducks That I Once Knew, that one, and I knew it from my brother and sister, and it sort of started from there.
You just joined in?
And I just joined in, and I knew all the words. And then the very first song and dance I did was that, remember Hayley Mills and the Parent Trap, Let's Get Together? So I did that as my very first song and dance and won. And then I just carried on with the singing. Used to sing at school all the time. And
I mean, like, we live in a society that doesn't like people that sort of stand out too much, yet it sounds to me as though you stood out very much.
I often ask my mother, was I terribly precocious?
Show-offy and precocious, yes.
Used to do concerts all the time for my parents' friends, and whenever it used to be wet at school, we'd be inside in the hall, and I'd always say, teacher, can I please do a number or sing a song? So obviously I must have been terribly precocious.
Has that changed?
I hope the word precocious isn't there anymore. I'm not sure what a substitute for that word is, but...
How far did you go with your schooling?
I went... actually, I was quite good at school. I loved school. And I was very good at languages, French and German, and the teacher had said because I was a singer, with being a singer, that apparently you pick up languages much quicker than other pupils, which I wasn't aware of. But once I started getting into the Amateur Operatic Society and singing in a band, I was singing in a band from the age of 13 or 14 around the hotels in Palmerston North, much to my father's disgust, because the police told him that they'd heard of some young girl that was singing in the hotels illegally. And that actually was the same time as Yolande Gibson. You know that big thing that happened with Yolande Gibson, and they brought in a law that, yes, if you were 18 you could sing in the hotels, but you must be accompanied by a parent and no alcohol. So from the age of 13 and 14, I was actually singing in bands and doing talent quests. So then my schooling dropped off because I stopped learning the vocabs and, doing the homework. So I did high school certificate, and I think I got 2 subjects. I think
and became a party
Oh,
animal.
no, you needed 2. You needed 2 subjects to pass.
4, wasn't it?
No, I think you needed. Oh, I can't remember. I think it was
you needed
fit
4
to
to get the
50.
lot.
Well,
Yeah.
I got one. I got 50 something for English, and I got 49 for history. So then I went back and did sixth form, and then I became the party animal. No, actually, I had the same boyfriend from the age of 14, and I used to just sing and dance.
Who's asking about your boyfriend?
Oh well, I was getting to that stage, so I really wasn't a party animal at all because I never had any spare time.
So what happened to the boyfriend?
I married him. he's now my husband.
Uh-huh.
Yes, but I got rid of him during the time, and then we got back together. We've now been married 11 years, but that's more to come later.
We'll work our way through
We will.
that part there. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about those days in the pubs and what have you. I mean, obviously Mum and Dad wouldn't have condoned what you were doing. It was illegal. You were long way short of 18 too, I might add.
Yes, I was, but well, they were always there supporting me, and we never really had any problems. I think I must have done every 21st wedding engagement party that happened in Palmerston North around that time, from the age of 13 or 14 onwards.
What sort of music did you do?
Dionne Warwick, Carpenters, Mary Hopkins,
Easy
Puppet on a
MOR.
String, all of that stuff, yeah. I hear it on the radio now and I just love it. It just brings back so many memories.
Isn't it funny how music does that?
It does. And it reminds you of that. They were good times. It was all good times. I often talk to my husband about it now, and he goes, well, yes, but Angie, you were I was always so focused that that's all I wanted to do. And I really very seldom partied because I'd go to school, I'd come home. I actually took over a dancing school as well at the same time. So on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'd teach from home from, say, 4:30, 5 o'clock until about 8. Friday night, I'd work in a pub or wherever it was. Saturday, I'd teach dancing all day from 9 until 2 in the afternoon. So I'd sing Friday and Saturday night. And Sunday, he wasn't allowed to come around to see me until lunchtime, until I'd recuperated from the rest of the week. So there wasn't a lot of time.
This is 13, 14, 15?
Oh, no. I got my licence, I think, when I was 15. I actually was at school till I was about 16, 17. So I took over the dancing school from the age of 15. So from the age of 15, that's when it really started.
So what was your goal at that time?
I don't know.
What am I going to be when I grow up?
Oh, well, I remember sitting watching television and seeing the Chicks, and then that was Suzanne and Judy Lynch, and then they split up and Suzanne became a solo performer. And I remember watching, I think it was I actually did the last year of Happening, but I think it must have been 2 years that Suzanne was on as a solo performer before she went to London. And I used to just sit there and say to Mum, that's what I know what I want to be when I grow up, that's what I want to be. And never thought that it would never happen. Silly, really, when you think about it. But I had no idea what...
Sorry, which part of it's silly?
Well, dreaming...
The fact that it did, dreaming it?
Well, I just never, ever had any negative thoughts that it would never happen. I don't know what would have happened if it... I've been very, very lucky.
I think people make their own luck.
I agree. It comes from inside, and I worked really hard, and I still work
How
very
did it
hard on my
happen,
craft.
the actual
How did it
birth
happen?
of...
Me on television?
Yeah, you on television.
Okay. Well, from those days of watching Happening and dreaming that that's what I wanted to be, they used to have big talent quests in Palmerston North, like public voting, in the Opera House, Palmerston North Opera House, which sadly is no longer there. And there was a guy on there one night by the name of Nash Chase, who was the guest artist, and I was one of the contestants, and I used to always get beaten by public vote. Anyway, he had gone back to Auckland, and there was a guy by the name of David McKee, who ended up by being my manager. He went into partnership with Johnny Devlin. And when Suzanne went over to London, they had this glorified talent quest with the Sunday newspaper looking for a superstar. So they auditioned girls by girls having to send tapes up. And my mother found it in the Sunday paper. She said, you must enter this. I think I was about 18. You enter this. And I went, oh. So I went into the bathroom or the toilet and sang a couple of songs, and they weren't very good. The tape wasn't very good. Sent it up to Auckland, and I was one of the 6 finalists. They chose 6 girls throughout New Zealand, and they flew us to Auckland. And I had actually found out that Nash Chase had been there listening to the tapes. And when mine came on, it was so bad that David McKee went to throw it in the bin, and Nash Chase said, oh, no. She actually sounds better than that because I've just done a talent quest that she was in. So I was in the finalist, went to the Great Northern Hotel in Auckland, and I won. and first prize was becoming a professional performer. So that was in the, I can't remember, early in the year.
Which year was this?
This is 1972, and I moved to Auckland in the August of 72, so I was about 18. And then in the September or October, I was on Happening's Opportunity Knocks with Erin Clark. And 6 weeks later, she came on as Discovery of the Week, and I thought, that's it, my career's over, because it was public choice and I hadn't gotten back on. Well, that was in the October. Then I started touring with David McKee as the support to Craig Scott and Bunny Walters and all the big stars that were television stars. And by the February of that year, I'd been signed for my first 6-week residency on Happening. So it was a very quick rise to fame.
It seems that everything developed very, very suddenly,
quickly.
actually, once
Yes.
things started rolling.
So I was 19, and by the time I'd started in the February, about that, yeah. Maybe it must have been
All the
19.
names that you're mentioning, I can just see viewers at home sitting there doing pretty much what I'm doing.
What
saying,
a
yeah, I
great
remember them.
time.
It was a good period,
What a great
wasn't it?
time. And, I mean, to learn that, to have that television exposure, I mean, let's face it, there was one national program, or one television channel really, throughout New Zealand, and Happening was on a Saturday night from 7 till 7:30, and then if you happened to be going out, you could see it on a Tuesday, I think 4 till 4:30 after school. So it was twice a week we were on national television.
We'll take a break at this time and come back and find out about all the scandals that went on behind the scenes of Happening and the time that Angela was a part of that program. Back after this break.